With T'Challa now serving as protector of Wakanda, he immediately went to work quelling rebel violence near their border before being sent on a mission to South America, where a terrorist named Zonda and her band of mercenaries had kidnapped a number of people, including 2 Wakandans, which made the situation his responsibility. Yet with the aid of Okoye, Zonda was killed and the hostages rescued. Back in America, Iron Man was named Time Magazine's 2009 Person of the Year. However, American politicians and military leaders were upset that Tony Stark, a private citizen, held such powerful technology and refused to share it with the government, so they might vastly improve the strength of their army. And so Stark was called to sit before the Senate Armed Services Committee to answer questions about the issue. When it was brought up that other nations were also working to develop these new technologies, and so America needed the information to defend their interests in the years to come, Tony Stark pointed out that no one else in the world was even close to something like the Iron Man suit, and that tests conducted in Iran, North Korea, and even by the American corporation Hammer Industries were all terrible failures, and so his inventions were best left in his own hands, announcing that he'd privatized world peace. Back home, Tony continued to work on a way to cure himself from the poisoning effect of the palladium core, and being so busy with his own projects, he decided to name his friend and colleague Pepper Potts as the new CEO of Stark Industries. Wishing to keep an eye on him, S.H.I.E.L.D. sent Black Widow to pose as Natalie Rushman, becoming Stark's personal assistant to assess whether he was a worthy candidate for a new project that would later be known as the Avengers Initiative. While working at a soda bottle factory in Brazil, Bruce Banner made contact with a scientist online that was later learned to be Samuel Stearns, sending a blood sample to help research his condition. Unfortunately, after 190 days without incident, Thaddeus Ross tracked down Banner's location, sending a team led by Emil Blonsky. As a result, he transformed into the Hulk, going on a rampage before escaping. Bruce Banner then awoke in Guatemala and set out to reach Culver University to see if any of the original data from the Biotech Force Enhancement Project still existed. At the Grand Prix de Monaco, Tony Stark decided to drive the Stark Industries race car himself, at which point he was attacked by Ivan Vanko wearing a suit that powered electrical whips, creating chaos and destroying a number of cars. Whiplash, as he became known, made it to the event with the help of the terrorist organization Ten Rings, but ultimately failed to kill his target, with Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts bringing a portable Iron Man suit with the Mark V design, which Tony immediately donned to defeat the enemy. Although Whiplash was taken into custody, he was later broken out by Justin Hammer of Hammer Industries, who wanted his help in developing battle armor. Miserable because he could not find a cure for palladium poisoning, Stark got drunk at his birthday party and fought his friend James Rhodes, who stole the Mark II battlesuit, bringing it to the military for study. Afterwards, he met with Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who revealed that Natalie Rushman was Black Widow, gave him medicine that would help his illness, and told him they would work towards developing a cure. On Asgard, King Odin, impressed by his son Thor's accomplishments as a warrior, felt ready to pass down the crown so he might enter Odin's sleep. However, the coronation was interrupted when a small group of frost giants infiltrated Odin's vault in an attempt to steal a powerful weapon known as the Casket of Ancient Winters. But the vault was protected by an Asgardian destroyer who killed the intruders before they could escape. Disobeying his father's orders, Thor led his companions through the Bifrost to Jotunheim, where he confronted King Laufey of the Frost Giants and became surrounded by enemies. And while Loki attempted to accept the king's leave for safe departure, Thor was provoked to anger and attacked their forces. Although they killed many, Thor and his companions were severely outnumbered and may have been killed if not for Odin, who had learned of their journey and followed them in an attempt to preserve the peace with Jotunheim. However, King Laufey informed Odin that the war had already begun, and so the Asgardians departed to prepare for the conflict. The king, furious with the unrepentant foolishness of his son, now realized he was not ready to be crowned, and so Thor was stripped of his powers and banished to Earth. Odin also sent the hammer Mjolnir, but enchanted it so that it could only be wielded by one who was worthy. In New York, a battle erupted at Stark Expo when Ivan Vanko hijacked Hammer Industry drones to attack Iron Man. With the help of James Rhodes wearing his own battle armor suit, coming to be known as War Machine, Iron Man was able to defeat Vanko, saving many lives, including that of a young Peter Parker who wore an Iron Man mask and valiantly stood against one of the machines, refusing to run before he was saved by his hero. Ivan Vanko was killed in the fighting, while Justin Hammer was arrested for his part in the attack. After the battle, Tony Stark expressed his feelings for Pepper Potts, and they began a relationship. Arriving in New Mexico, Thor struggled with the loss of his powers, but even so proved a formidable warrior on Earth, able to defeat a number of trained S.H.I.E.L.D. agents at a compound where they studied the hammer which had fallen from the sky. However, when Thor realized he could no longer lift Mjolnir, he lost hope and allowed himself to be arrested. Loki then visited Thor and explained that Odin had died, making Loki king of Asgard, and that peace with the Frost Giants was now dependent on Thor's exile to Earth. Devastated by the news, Thor thanked Loki for the information and resigned himself to his fate. Phil Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D., wanting to learn the truth about Thor and his associates, released him and tracked his movements. After reconnecting with Dr. Jane Foster and Dr. Eric Selvig, who found him when he first arrived, he was joined by Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, who came with information that Loki was behind the entire ordeal with the Frost Giants, having shown them how to enter Asgard undetected. Further, Loki had lied about Odin's death, seizing the throne while their father was in Odin's sleep, and their mother grief-stricken by his side. Loki, meanwhile, sent the Asgardian destroyer to Earth. However, Thor did not resist, instead offering to give himself up in the hopes he might save the others. Although he was then badly injured, his selflessness and humility were sensed by Mjolnir, which flew back to Thor's side, restoring his powers and allowing him to defeat the destroyer before returning to Asgard to depose his usurper brother. Loki, meanwhile, had discovered that he was born a frost giant, and his true father was King Laufey, working with them to kill Odin and recover the Casket of Ancient Winters. But it was yet another deception, instead killing Laufey and using the Bifrost and Casket to destroy Jotunheim once and for all. Thor then broke apart the Bifrost bridge with his hammer to stop the attack and defeat Loki, who fell into the abyss as it collapsed. Thor would have fallen as well, if not for Odin, who had woken from his slumber and rescued his firstborn son. At Culver University, Bruce Banner was now reunited with his former girlfriend Betty Ross, but he was soon tracked down, transforming into the Hulk to face off once again against Emil Blonsky, who had since been injected with another version of the biotech enhancement serum, greatly increasing his capabilities. However, the Hulk was ultimately victorious, leading Blonsky to take more of the enhancement formula, which then greatly distorted his body, making him a Hulk-like beast known as Abomination. Trashing the laboratory before escaping, Abomination and Hulk finally met in the Duel of Harlem, where Blonsky was defeated and taken into custody by S.H.I.E.L.D. The scientist who created Abomination, Samuel Stearns, had also been arrested, taken in by Black Widow after a drop of Bruce Banner's blood landed on an open wound, resulting in his head growing large and greatly increasing his already impressive intellect. With enhanced beings causing so much conflict around the world, Tony Stark could no longer handle world security on his own, and so joined S.H.I.E.L.D., as would Dr. Eric Selvig, who came on to study the Tesseract, which was found by Howard Stark years earlier after it fell to the bottom of the sea during the Second World War. Appearing before the World Security Council, S.H.I.E.L.D. presented their plan for the Avengers Initiative, getting it approved for funding. Do your shopping on Amazon? Then why not use the link in the description box below to either the Canadian, American, or UK Amazon sites, where you support the channel with every purchase at no extra cost to you. So if you do your shopping on Amazon anyway, why not use the link below and help support CivilizationEx? A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Chris Wilder, The Crimson Shadow, Knight of the Old Republic, David Little Bear Cromie, Sir Dayrin of House Ashford, and the Frostfang Tickler. If you would like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.